World Time Attack Challenge. The pinnacle of time attack racing and the domain of the world's fastest, most radical time attack machines. It's the Wild Pro Class cars that are the main drawcard of the event, getting, justifiably, the most attention from the media and admiration from the fans. We've grown so accustomed to these big horsepower, purpose-built race cars with their massive aero kits, it's little wonder that when we think World Time Attack, these are the images that immediately spring to mind. But they are not what this video is about. Clubsprint Class, often referred to as the street class, has the largest field at World Time Attack Challenge, with 38 cars entered in this year's event. Despite receiving considerably less publicity than its faster and less restricted brethren, the Clubsprint Class proved so popular the organisers had to employ a strict qualifying criteria, as interest in the class usually outstrips the spaces available.
Big thing about Clubsprint Class is that anyone can compete in it. You know, you can turn up your road car. If you don't run under a minute 45, you don't even need a roll cage. So, but then getting right up to the pointy end, I mean, they're doing a minute 33 now. It's really serious. So the spread of that is enormous, you know, and the appeal to the average guy. The pro class is $1 million, you know, perhaps, or several $100,000, where Clubsprint Class, anyone can compete in.
So why would the slowest cars also be the most popular? One of the reasons is cost. Clubsprint is a fairly restricted class, with only minor modification allowed to body panels and aero kits, with the focus being mostly on vehicle setup and driver skill. As such, it attracts people who have a modest budget and are willing to do a lot of the work themselves.
My name's Artemis Kazangas. I'm a motor mechanic and an engineer as well. It's an RX-7 Series 1. I've had the car for probably over 12 years now, and over that time I've improved it slowly and built it up to what it is today. So at the moment it's got a 13B turbo Bridgeport with a Garrett GDX 3576 turbo, which is a fresh build for me this year. And I've done a fair bit of work throughout, including, you know, electronics and all the suspension work. It's had an interesting life actually, this car. It started off as a street car with a 12A motor on LPG, and then it became a university thesis, and it was electric powered for a little while, and now it's gone to 13B turbo E85 powered.
Name's Mark Collingwood. I basically manage contracts and construction companies at the moment. Car's a Mazda MX-5 NA6 1995 model, 1.9 litre motor, about 206 horsepower at the rear wheels, naturally aspirated, running Haltech PS1000.
Hi, my name's Paul Kovaceski. I'm a commercial and projects manager for Interactive down in Melbourne, and I've got my Porsche 944 up here at World Time Attack. The Porsche is a 83 model 944. We're running a 3 litre engine out of a 968 in there, along with a 6-speed out of the 968 as well. It's got a GTX 3582R turbo, upgraded rods, pistons, and just a few other little mods.
My name's Raul Victor. I'm an electrical engineer. I work in wind farm development. So obviously engineering, so that's why I'm sort of into cars. So this is an RX-7 Series 8. I imported it from Japan back in 2016, and you know, pretty much full World Time Attack. It is technically road registered, although I mean obviously not really something that you can drive on the road in Victoria. So it has a bridge-ported engine built by Race Only, 9180 turbo, and Haltech Elite ECU, running NSP software.
Professional drivers are not permitted, so it is truly the best class to see closely matched, like-minded people competing against each other in vehicles often built at home and crewed by family and friends.
Clubsprint, for starters, it's the cost of it. That's a big factor. It's somebody that's an independent driver that's doing it for a hobby can kind of fund it in this class. Whereas open class, to keep up is a lot harder. You have to spend a lot more money. And then they go to things like sequential gearboxes, and see this car's still got a H-pattern box with a 13B turbo, and it's, you know, we can sort of run it without too much cost. My team, it's it's my old man who comes with me to every race, and we've got a workshop business, and my mechanic comes with me as well. And then my brothers come along as well, Mario and Chris. Yeah, so it's a family affair, really. It's
Be competitive and open. You know, you're really stepping it up quite a bit. It's a bit of budget, and also, I guess, just we wanted to do everything ourselves. And so even things like the aero, we learned how to make carbon fiber, did it in my garage. That's why it looks good at a distance. You get a bit closer, you realize that it's a bit, but it works, and we can stand on the end of it, it takes our weight. And that was largely it. So if I was stepping up to open, I feel like I'd have to start getting to the point where you're paying professional fabricators from carbon composites. None of this DIY, hack together, do it yourself. Tuning is sort of even something I've learned by myself, but I do get race only to help out as well, because they're obviously a lot more experienced than me, but it was definitely something that we really wanted to sort of do ourselves.
One area where the teams can go all out is engine modification. You are allowed to tinker to your heart's content, provided the engine stays with the same manufacturer as the car and has the same number of cylinders or rotors as the stock vehicle. Raoul's car is a great example of doing the most with limited resources and time.
Probably the most interesting bits and pieces is probably the aero setup. So 2016, I had a bit of a Skype session with Carl Foster, who's after that went off to Mercedes to be in their Formula One team. And he kind of gave me some pointers, and then we ended up building it. So we've got the front splitter, which sort of has obviously your typical wheel diffusers, but has a big diffuser in the middle. Canards, rear wing. What we found was Clubsprint Class basically has a rule that says you have to run stock radiator position. So that means no V-mount. Typically on the FD platform, you need to run a V-mount to be able to handle your cooling. So we put in the front mount, we had massive overheating issues on the coolant. So what we've actually done here is we've got a second pickup point there, which kind of separates the air directly to the bottom half of the radiator, and all the air that's going into the intercooler goes to the top half. We've then got a sealed radiator duct outlet, which feeds directly into these vents, which helps a bit with cooling and downforce. The maximum we've run it out at the moment is 420 kilowatts, can probably with the fueling system go up to 490. The real limiting factor is the gearbox. So we've run a stock box in the past, broke it twice. We've now got an OS Gaiken gear set in there, but it's still in a stock box, and we're trying not to break this one.
Along with getting his hands dirty under the hood, Raoul also got inventive with the latest digital technology.
It's running a race capture telemetry system. So that's a little device that talks CAN bus to the Haltech Elite. A tablet sort of does all the gauges and all that for the driver. A phone that does the lap timing, which then streams over to over 3G, and basically we can look at it online as well. So when it works pretty well.
Mike opted to run a built, naturally aspirated engine in his MX-5. His reasoning was not entirely performance-based either.
Because not too many people do it, and because I just like to be different, I guess. Yes, it is noisy.
After a 2-year hiatus due to COVID, World Time Attack Challenge came back in 2022 with a revised format, which included a few significant changes. Day 1 of the event was now untimed, allowing the teams to fine-tune their cars without the pressure of having to get a lap time on the board.
So first session out, we lost one of our end plates. So coming into a few of the corners, the downforce pushing down, and under brakes it's hitting the bottom and it's scraping. So one of our end plates flew off and the guys went to Bunnings and built another one. First few sessions, the car was feeling not great. And I wasn't sure if it was because I have never really driven on a cold, well, rarely driven on a cold track. It's always a million degrees at a track day. Tires just weren't gripping, spinning wheels and all that. And I was getting a bit worried, to be honest. Then I realized it's because I was running really, really old AD8Rs. Like these have been sitting in my garden for like 4 years. So when we went out last session, we checked on the AO52s, and they're something else. Not just grip, which is miles ahead of the AD8Rs, but just the feel of them, there's something else. And straight away did a PB of 140.8.
Of course, not everyone was so lucky, with Day 1 pointing out plenty of problems. Some pre-existing and some brand new.
Yesterday was probably not too good because we've got an oil leak in the car, which hopefully we've just fixed now. The suspension's going really well. That was done by Shockworks. So hopefully today's going to be a little bit better.
Yesterday we treated it as a test day because we haven't really tested this car before with this setup. So we, as you do on test days, you bump into a few little problems, which we hope we've had all sorted for today. We'll just see how we go.
2022 also saw the addition of the new Yokohama AO52 control tyre to the Clubsprint Class, giving the competitors a choice of 2 alongside the AD08R. Another big change was the new lighting system at Sydney Motorsport Park, allowing the organisers to run the sessions well into the night.
Absolute no different to daytime. It was unbelievably, the light was unbelievable. You could see perfectly, not a problem whatsoever. AO52s were actually more grip than the AD08Rs, but track temperature was a bit low yesterday, so hopefully they'll get a lot warmer today, and then we'll see how they go.
Racing at night was awesome, I loved it. It's a good experience, it's different for the drivers, that's for sure. So it's good for the temperatures for the engine as well. I'm currently running the AD08, switching to the new tyres on the 2 last sessions of today. Just so we got fresh tyres for the last sessions to try and put down a good time. But from what I've seen from some of my mates that are running them, and they seem to improve the grip a lot.
There are some pretty quick cars in Clubsprint this year. I think in 2019, this is certainly a car that had the potential to be top 5. And this year I'm not quite so familiar with the rest of the field. There's certainly some better cars, but that's what I'm going to be aiming for.
Hello and welcome to Sydney Motorsport Park, the home of the 2022 Yokohama World Time Attack Challenge. The vibe here is electric.
First time that we'll be appearing under the lights tonight.
We've got a huge bumper 32 car field here this weekend. It's going to be absolutely massive.
We're expecting to see speeds of 290 kilometres an hour here at the end of the front straight at Sydney Motorsport Park.
The morning sessions provided great conditions for the teams to get their times on the board, with sunny, almost windless weather and cool track temperatures.
A lot better than last night. We're about 4.5 seconds off the 150, so that's more than achievable provided everything goes okay. The oil leak is almost non-existent now thanks to Olivia. They're not here at the moment. So the mechanics from Team Takimi have come over and helped fix that. So it's actually good news.
A couple little teething issues with the car, and we've had a couple of the injectors clog up and pack it in, but we're looking to get a fresh set of injectors in the car and we'll get it back out onto the track.
The reigning champion Jamal Assad quickly asserted his dominance by laying down a lightning quick lap of 1:33, shaving almost 5 seconds off his previous record. With another personal best on its early morning outing, Raoul's RX-7 placed 9th in the class.
Sure, that guy over there is the team to beat. That would be great. But yeah, I think, look, if I can get to the superlap shootout, I'll be absolutely stoked.
Not too many naturally aspirated cars here to actually use as a gauge, so try not to be the slowest car. That's the goal.
With the morning sessions done, the teams sought shelter in their garages as the midday entertainment took over during the hottest part of the day.
F1 car with number plates? Well, today you definitely will, because we have the F1 street car right here at World Time Attack, packing a Ferrari V12 engine. You can take it to the track and then you can pop down to Woolies and buy your bread and milk. It's quite incredible. But let's chat.
Beautiful wine-fueled racing R35 GTR. Bit of a throwback to the early 90s GTR. I'm with Brian Boo. Brian, first time here at World Time Attack. How are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty good to get back out here. Done a wet test day about a month ago, so yesterday's the first dry run on used tyres for today. Give it another, see how it goes today, and then I may put some new ones on for later on. I tried to get it entered in Club Sprint, but they wouldn't let me. Something with the rules, I don't know what they're talking about.
The afternoon sessions proved a mixed bag for Artemis, who took it all in his stride as he prepared for his final laps.
It was interesting last session. We had a clutch issue actually, and trying to get out of the way on the main straight, I pulled off to the side and we ended up in a bit of mud as well, so which was a bit of a silly error, but yeah. But other than that, the previous issues that we've been seeing have sort of been resolved. So we've made progress, but some other little issues have popped up as well. The car's been cleaned up, mud's off it. We've fixed there was a leak actually from the clutch reservoir. So we fixed that with some spares we brought with us. We're good to go for another try.
So, what do you think the net worth of this Porsche is at the moment, the 944?
944, when you look at all the different Porsches out there, I mean, still very affordable. I mean, you could probably buy 3 of these for the price of an R32, you know what I mean? At the moment, but again, it's another piece of car worship that you've got to admire. The 944 turbo. Honestly, back in the 80s, the power-hungry days of the turbocharger when it was first coming.
Resolved all the issues with the injectors, so that's all fine now. Went out there, tried to cut as many laps as we could. Found the car a little bit skatey, so we've knocked the pressures down, so hopefully we'll better the times next session out. Did a 49, considering having been in the car for 2.5 years. Not bad for the first outing, so we'll see if we can bring those down to at least the PB. Put the foot to the floor and see if we can get out of it.
Top speed down the main straight's decreased a little bit from other years, however, can go through turn 1 almost flat out. Well, if I probably look at the data will probably tell me that I did lift, but my foot tells me I didn't. Never lift.
As the sun moved down towards the horizon, the top 10 in each class pulled out all the stops and turned the wick up for a chance to get into the superlap shootout.
At sunset, this is Australia at its finest.
So throughout the day, we were having some problems with boost control. So we're running a lot less power than we usually do, and especially compared in that PB lap that I did this morning. So we finally got it all fixed, right? And that session we're doing a fair bit more power than normal.
It's a little bit upset. He is pushing through there. Oh, yes, he is. Give us some sparks in Club Sprint. We don't see sparks in Club Sprint until now, do we? Smash carrots everywhere, big flames. He's gone way out there. Geez, again, if that was Formula One, Lewis Hamilton saying he's got to give that back. He's got to give that back. He's out too wide. That shouldn't count. Rahul Victor, you try and tell that to Rahul Victor.
And, you know, went for the first lap, feeling good, feeling really good. Went for the second hot lap, and I'm like, I'm not going to break for turn 1.
Other than the famous Armando turn 1, this is where all of that aero that Andrew Brilliant is known for comes into play.
This is a corner of pure commitment. It's all about sort of get the car in there, cars with a lot of aero will love sort of the amount of grip they can generate through here.
This is through Armando. We missed him. He's in our blind spot. That's a big one. Whoa, Rahul Victor. Oh, Rahul.
Sort of turned in, and look, I mean, I could kind of feel I was feeling a little bit unsettled, and I was like, ooh, do I tap the brake? And honestly, a tap of the brake would have been enough to cut enough speed. But I was like, oh, I think I can control the throttle. And so I'm lightly coming to the throttle, and then the rear's sort of coming, and I'm like, oh, no. So I'm come on the throttle, try to settle it a bit more, but nah, at that point it just went full sideways. There's nothing I could do. I'm glad to see that the car doesn't seem to be damaged. Like, as I was doing that, I'm like, oh, there goes the splitter, there goes like half the bottom side of the car. But its initial glance, it seems to be all right. And then when I was sort of when I was sort of sitting there, I saw there's a lot of smoke coming out of the front bonnet. And that's why I jumped out and pulled out the fire extinguisher. I was getting really terrified something was on fire. But I mean, obviously, as we saw before, the turbo is glowing bright red hot. It's suddenly stopping. It's obviously heating a lot of stuff up. So what that actually was a rubber boot. Kind of started, let's say, igniting a little bit. It wasn't really on fire. It was just kind of smoking up and smoldering a lot. I'm kind of glad I didn't decide to fire it in there because they're a pain in the ass to clean up, and I know that from experience twice. So look, disappointing, no PB. Car was definitely going a lot quicker there. Like, I was making a lot more speed, a lot more power. So I think earlier session, I was maybe making about 18, 19 PSI. That session there, I'm probably doing, I must have been doing about 24, up to 24 PSI.
So, the infamous Turn 1 claimed yet another victim. Fortunately, the car escaped with only minor cosmetic damage, and Rahul, well, he missed out on the shootout, but he's definitely gotten a lot richer with experience.
Look, I mean, there's definitely the aero thing, right? And nothing quite feels like the feeling as the aero. You really feel the aero work there. I can't really describe it. It's like the car shouldn't work, and it does. And it just feels like the whole thing's pushing down. You can feel the ride height pushing, and then when you go over those bumps, you can just feel the whole car getting unsettled in a way that you don't just from mechanical grip. It's from that aero loading. And I think that it's a very fun, interesting corner, but also quite a scary one.
Sadly, that's the nature of racing. No matter how much you prepare, sometimes things just don't work out. But then, there's always next time.
Well, look, I'm alive. Car seems to be in one piece so far. It starts, it runs, and I feel bad for all the other Clubsprint guys who lost the rest of the session. Apologies, guys. But look, I'm in one piece, car's in one piece, that's the important stuff. 2023, let's go.
And that is the spirit of the Clubsprint class at World Time Attack Challenge. You get together with some mates, build a car without breaking the bank, test it, then push it and yourself to the limits. No big budget transporters or crew, no corporate backing, no lavish VIP suites, just an ordinary bunch of ordinary guys doing extraordinary things.
The best thing about Clubsprint Class is that you can turn up in your road car, put a race seat and a harness in it, and come and compete and you know, be a part of World Time Attack Challenge.
Rego came up and I couldn't be bothered changing the exhaust or the front splitter, so I let the Rego expire and turn it into a track car.
I've got the second fastest Porsche at World Time Attack this year.
I think for me, it's I'm racing against myself and doing the best I can do. I'm not really looking at the other cars as such, but I'm just trying to improve myself. Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, smash that like button. We put out a new video every week and sometimes even two. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more awesome content.
Massive thanks to my team. I've got all my friends here who have been helping me out. Anthony, Vikram, James, Dale, Molly, Monique, Noel, And of course, race-only support team, which is Omar and Waman, who have been awesome in helping the car. And you know, when I go to track days, there's usually a lot of stress, a lot of work in trying to do both yourself. But having a team here to sort of handle all of that so I can focus on driving has just been amazing. Car wouldn't have even gotten to here without all my friends helping out. So, and thanks World Time Attack for organising the event.